New Year, girl. Taiwan's president pushing back on Chinese aggression. In a New Year's speech, she warned military conflict is not the answer, saying, quote, "We must remind Beijing authorities to not misjudge the situation and to prevent the internal expansion of military adventurism." This coming a day after Chinese President Xi Jinping spoke of Taiwan's reunification with the motherland in his own New Year's address. Joining me now, Georgia Congressman and House Armed Services Committee member Alston Scott. Congressman, what do you make of the U.S. position with China going into the new year?
Yeah, well, first of all, the people of Taiwan do not identify themselves as Chinese. They're Taiwanese, and we continue to be cognizant of what's going on with China. This is a country, China and Russia both continue to challenge the international norms. If you look at what China's been doing for years, they've illegal fishing off of Vietnam. That's one of the reasons that we parked an aircraft carrier over there under the Trump administration, to make sure that China understood that we were not afraid of them and that we would uphold to the international norms. They're illegally fishing off of Africa right now. They're building up islands. There have been no consequences for China for their conduct over the last several years, and so that's emboldened themselves, and now they're flying their planes into Taiwan airspace or Taiwanese airspace, and what the Taiwanese know and what China needs to know is that the United States will fulfill its obligation to protect Taiwan.
And speaking of China, and the Wall Street Journal wrote an editorial about this at the end of last week, but that China, the Communist Party in Beijing, trying to displace the U.S. as the dominant power in the Pacific, is establishing a small police presence on the Solomon Islands that could easily grow. And the Pacific state, the Solomon Islands, have accepted this Chinese police support. So, this movement by China's Communist Party continues to grow.
Right, and understand their definition of police is very different than our definition of police. Right, you've got the situation with the Uyghurs in certain provinces of China. This is a country that does not allow religious freedom. You either worship the Chinese Communist Party or you're subject to punishment. So any movement that allows Chinese police, if you will, to come out and enforce the will of the Chinese Communist Party anywhere is a danger to freedom. And so I'm very cognizant of what's going on. We in the United States are watching this very carefully. I am concerned that they believe that the weakness in America right now in our foreign policy gives them more opportunity than they've had in the past. And we're going to continue to push back on it. Hopefully we can do it in a bipartisan manner. But if you're China and you're looking at the administration right now, you've got a very different administration with Secretary Blinken and President Biden than you had with Donald Trump and Mike Pompeo. So they've got a few years here where you've got Blinken and Biden in the White House and then the Secretary of State's office, and they know that when we take the White House back, as we will over the next couple of years, that we will have a much more aggressive Secretary of State in office that maintains the international norms. So I'm concerned that they see this as an opportunity. At the same time, the people around this world, they want personal freedoms and they want individual liberties and they want economic opportunities, and that does not come with communism.
No, and Lee Carter, jump in here. President Biden has yet to address the origins of the coronavirus pandemic with Xi Jinping. How hard is that?
It shouldn't be very hard. And I think one of the, foreign policy isn't usually the reason that Americans vote for a president. It wasn't in the top 4 reasons, but many people had really hoped that he was going to restore America, and he was going to deal with things that needed to be dealt with. I think the issue of China is one that is so frightening to people on so many levels. It's not just about COVID. It's not just about what's going on in Taiwan. There's trade. There's so many issues that surround this. And I think the real question is, what can we do differently right now to make sure that China isn't a threat? Because conventional wisdom was always like, China just wants to be contained. But that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. And so my real question is, what can we do about it?
Well, I think part of it's going to be contingent upon what the American citizens do in the next elections. I fully expect Republicans to take the House and the Senate back. I think that Americans want U.S. foreign policy to spread freedom around the world, not to allow communism to rule the world. So we've got some challenges inside the United States right now. I think we look very weak on a global perspective, and that has created opportunities for countries like Russia and China that continue to challenge the international norms. They would have done this, if President Trump were reelected and Mike Pompeo were Secretary of State.
Congressman, thank you so much for being here this morning. We hope to see you very much in the new year. Congressman Austin Scott.
Thank you, Dagan.